So we're going to go over this lecture on occupational choice. So adolescence, okay, 12 to 20. So children are expected to shed their dependencies and become more independent in this period, right? How is this achieved? Through occupational roles, okay? So that's when people start to realize their personal assets and liabilities, right? By liabilities, we mean like problems, right? Or maybe their weaknesses. And participate in society effectively, okay? Occupational roles are selected through a process known as occupational choice, okay? So here's an example of what a progression may look like, okay? Preschool, then a school-age student, a worker or employee, and or a homemaker, and then a retiree. Okay, so the occupational choice process. So this is a decision-making process that results in selection of an occupational role, extends from childhood through young adulthood, and it could be reactivated whenever an individual alters their occupational role. Okay, so an example of this would be maybe someone planning to retire moves through the occupational choice process while planning their retirement activities, right? Trying to think of ways to make themselves, still feel like a contributing member of society. Okay. So, occupational choice process is conceptualized in 3 stages, okay? So stage 1 is the fantasy period, which begins in childhood play, okay? So this is where children learn expectations and rules of society and also how to interact with peers, right? We've talked about this a little bit, how, in childhood play is self-directed. Children do have the opportunity to organize games with their peers, receive direct feedback from their peers. And the feedback enables them to distinguish acceptable social behavior from unacceptable, right? I go over this with my son all the time, like when he's, a total jerk to me after I win in a game. Just yesterday, like so much drama, it's unreal.
What game?
Lottie Karate. Have you played that game? It's actually really cute, but basically it's like we play like the Disney version. So the goal is to get from the bottom up to like the castle at the top, like this star, okay? So you draw a card, you can either move a few spots or you spin the star. When you spin the star, it opens up a random hole on the game, so your character can fall through. So he's devastated. He's always Mickey, and he's devastated when Mickey dies, goes in the hole, and it's like this whole thing. So he was so mad yesterday because I was like dying to myself because he's flipping out because the hole kept eating all of his characters, and I was like way in the lead. I was winning, and he was so mad. But yeah, so okay. Stage 2 would be the tentative period. So interests are related to personal capabilities, values, and goals. This is where we're just trying to figure it out, okay, in those like teenage years. Adolescent is now expected to assume responsibilities within the family, the neighborhood, and school. They may have responsibilities such as mowing the lawn, doing the dishes, folding laundry. And during this tentative period, you're receiving feedback, right? And you're becoming increasingly accountable for your actions, right? No longer a baby anymore, right? No, you're a teenager, like you need to get it together, right? You've been told this before. This is the right way to act, that kind of thing. And then realistic period is ages like 17, 18 and up, okay? This is when you start thinking about what you want to do with your life, right? So maybe shadowing different jobs, exploring maybe whether or not you want to go to school, whether or not you want to pump the brakes on that and have a family first, and then start to develop skills and habits to support that choice. You will not be tested on any of this, of course, because you don't have an exam on this, um, but all of this should pretty much make sense to you because you've all lived this, right? So occupational choice deficits, okay? So some individuals have a hard time with transitioning, right? Adolescents might act out and be considered deviant or troublemakers. So, bless you. So, lack of skills prerequisite to decision making. So, the ability to play, recognition of rules and feedback, peer interactions, fantasy exploration, use of role models, and development of interests. Those are all very important as far as, you know, making decisions as far as where we want to go and who we want to be in life. Okay, so we're going to look at the adolescent role assessment today. This used to be an assignment for this course. I did cut it out because I felt like there was just too much going on this semester, and I think just an in-class activity is fine with this. So I'm going to pass this is like basically an example of an adolescent role assessment. So the ARA looks at performance in a variety of roles throughout the occupational choice process, and it's designed to be administered as a semi-structured interview through casual dialogue. Okay, so for the ARA, questions are phrased as is, okay? And the examiner must be familiar with the purpose of the questions and the rating criteria. Questions yield both an objective rating, meaning gives you a number, and content applicable to treatment planning. So, give you these. So you're all going to have the same example to look at. So before we pay attention to the example, we'll still stick to the PowerPoint for a few more slides. So the question here, the interviewer would say to the teenager, kids spend a lot of time playing. When you were a child, what was your favorite age and why? Okay, so rating criteria are explained on the assessment, okay? And it's based on normative behavior. And there's a scoring system related, okay? So you would give them a plus if they're able to identify their favorite age and name the activity, a 0 if they're hesitant or they give a vague response, or, a minus, totally inappropriate behavior or response, okay? So a plus indicates appropriate behavior, 0 indicates marginal or borderline, minus indicates inappropriate behavior. And if you look at the scoring, I have this on like multiple slides, so it's kind of hard. Okay. So for childhood play, sorry, can you guys, I wish I could show the two screens at the same time. A majority of plus and 0 scores signify no obvious role dysfunction, okay? Predominance of 0s and minuses indicate serious doubt concerning appropriate role behavior and intervention should be considered, okay? So, based off of what I just said, in terms of the results on this, so this is an example of Michael, okay? You guys have Sarah, I believe. So Michael scored this way under the childhood play area of the assessment, okay? So based on his functioning, what would you say? Correct, right? Because it's mostly pluses and 0s, okay? All right. So what I want you guys to do, I actually want to go grab my computer. Let me see. No, Sarah interviewed Michael. Okay. So what I want you to do in like small groups, I want you to talk over Michael's interview. Okay, the interview with Michael. Okay. And then we're gonna talk about it a little bit. So yeah, I want you to look at each of the areas, how he responded, why he was given the score that he was given, okay? And then we're gonna talk about it a little bit in depth.
Why? Because it say right here, play with friends, and then it says look up and it said
generation of kids. Oh,
yeah.
so he's
He's
generation
oh, you're right.
It is you. It looks like
Yeah, he had I think it's a zero. He said he likes
he didn't identify
but it was understood. It wasn't like he didn't just not answer. Yeah. If he didn't answer, then he would be like, he still said that he played with friends. Like he what was your favorite game? What kinds of things do you like to do? So he said he liked to play with friends, not alone. And it just the first part was like he was such a vague answer. That's why it's just zero. That's why it's a zero.
yeah.
Because you're still answering.
Yeah.
He was very response is zero. Hesitant or vague response is zero. Then the unable to identify is pessimistic. So it's kind of zero or right. So yeah, you figure out what part of the game is, you put part of it to zero.
Mom, dad, don't not drive, mostly dad, and your parents home.
I'm gonna say a negative.
From 0 to negative. What are the positive qualities about your family?
Yeah, I don't know. Non-specific actions.
I don't know. Very close. Positive qualities. When it is
My aunt, she bought me a show. I know, but she also did complain about it. I'm not, but she sent me $175 to get the membership at this yoga. So he would really remember. Nice. For your birthday? Mother's Day. I know, but that was $186. She spent like over $300. Yeah, I've already been seeing that. Wait, your entries are old. I think it's because she only has one song. So it's like you're like he is a toy. Such a game. She got me like dang. We grew up. Yeah. Oh, I'm actually using my cash. I'll use my cash because I'm currently doing an aggressive payment plan. Yeah. That's what she said. I'm doing
Average.
I was like 275.
That's basically the same exact thing. My dad was mostly one that taught, so like my mom would be driving around us too. My dad would have
Yeah. Oh, so about bags.
So what are we doing?
No, ours is 65.
I got Lulu necklace.
But like,
Yeah. I got Lululemon. That's a good thing. And this
oh, I know.
I'm gonna go to
it's for like $30. And they're like $100. And then I got this. Really cool. You see this? I'll show you this top I got. I can't. There's like a. Yeah, there's like a thrift shop in Eden, and it's like these two teenagers. I got this top, but I like that. I just
So I want you to try as a group to answer the questions that are on your last two slides of the PowerPoint, okay? So Sophia already answered this one for us, the top one. Based on the scoring, how would you summarize his role functioning? So she answered it based on childhood play, but look throughout the entirety of the assessment for that. And then, yes, the other three questions, okay? And we'll review all of it.
What other three questions? Oh, right here. Oh.
Based on everything the six supervisors they actually score. He indicates appropriate functional and healthy.
What are we exactly supposed to be
Because he has
finding
more
about
others.
this?
So this first one, based on this whole thing. Goal addressing skill development related to occupational.
Yes, he had,
I mean, he's a student, right? Is he still a student or no?
We have to look through this whole packet. Yeah, see.
Friend.
Wait, let me think. I was gonna say this. It seems like he's responsible. I think maybe more good and has friends.
yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
for the goals related to his occupational choice, do we use the adulthood part? Or am I just overcompensating? So for the last. He's about work, like he doesn't love his friend, yeah, like the show guys.
Oh, we gotta look through all the rest of this.
So really any role for
Yeah.
work on where he's at now. Okay. So like the first.
Yeah, I don't see much.
Twin brothers.
Yeah.
buses, tables, and cooks in a restaurant.
Well, if it was one, then
That's usually
oh, yeah. Sorry, I was really confused what you were reading.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he does a lot of nothing. He does 6 hours of nothing.
oh,
yeah.
I think it's fine. Like feedback.
Yeah.
6
Well,
hours.
I'm just.
Well, it's
not 6 hours a day. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
No. Well, if you're so into
what is
Well, right now we're
deficiencies and impact?
what about the future? Like, what do you want to do in your future? If you can imagine, like,
I was trying to think of what would be interrupting.
You know, I think they should ask his mom about this because I'm sure that my son will answer more positively because nobody wants to say bad things about themselves. And if he was to ask my son about his responsibilities, he will tell you that if he do mopping floor, laundry, unloading dishes,
And you're like, that's what you're supposed to do.
but
When's the last time
no,
you did it?
yes, but he does it once a month. But he will tell you that he does it
He does it.
once a month. Yes.
He still does it.
Difference.
You just have to get it to be once a week, and then you're good. Sundays.
as a
Sunday afternoon.
yes. It's as a yes.
Picnics is, because if he will not do this, I would not allow him to play. I will just block it, Wi-Fi.
I feel like
That
it's fine.
is the unlimited thing.
Yeah.
It's mostly doing school, watching video, sitting on social media, doing nothing, working, and hanging out. Like that's all he does. He doesn't have anything about being crazy. And based on certain times, you have to do something mentally active and schedule.
Actually, he doesn't get the best grades in school. So now
Time management.
I feel deficient in the deficiencies aspect of this. Okay, deficiencies, no public transportation available. So that might be something.
And his parents divorced. Is
Because it basically says like, he has a mix of two about that.
I mean, he has a relationship with his dad, right? Still.
perhaps he doesn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
I was thinking
family model.
Yes, I was thinking about it just yesterday because me and my husband,
He
we
does this.
both have divorced families. So I don't have this model when mom and dad enjoy their life together, and he doesn't have already.
I strive that model, and I never, and like, I just assumed that that's what my life would be. So when it happened,
But the thing
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
when you know how it is, I don't know how it is.
yeah.
When mom and dad together.
I can't show him because I don't have that skill unless I meet somebody soon and it comes into our lives and it's just daddy. I would love
It's
but
intervention strategy.
I'm not gonna just settle. I'm not gonna settle for someone.
So like
And I also noticed that I always think somewhere in the back of my brain that and because actually he's 10 years younger than me and he is someone better, younger.
Of course it can happen.
And
You can't dwell on that though.
and he actually thinks about it. That I will.
Work at it
Well,
too.
our first job.
Actually, I'm not going anywhere and he's not going anywhere. But we think about it, and I think it's just because we didn't have these families that were all that together. Like one and four. Once and four.
Intervention strategy.
Not normal nowadays. There's people staying together for until they're 80 years old and dying.
It's hard to like
Yes.
Grandma and grandpa.
I know that last and said you have to keep the spark, and the guy can never get to
Because like we said, he didn't really.
like they have to always be like he is flirting.
College would be.
When you are 60, right?
No, it's
Oh,
boyfriend?
so
No.
we-
Your boyfriend?
I mean,
no, like you should always feel like
To stay together. All
yeah, like they should always like they should just
Yeah.
stop wanting to like make you happy. Yeah, they should
Yes.
always like yeah, like dating. Like
Yes.
you know when you first start dating, they're always like trying so hard to like get your attention and like make you happy. It should feel
Yeah.
But
That's
those
excellent.
those first 6 months are the love battle time.
Yeah.
Where you're looking and then you really get to know the person and you see all of their faults. You have to decide whether or not you're willing to deal with those faults or not.
Yeah.
You know, which ones you're gonna choose. Okay, well, yeah,
Before you
I love
decide
him
to
enough
marry
to
them,
deal with
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's up, but it's okay. You know what I mean? So you deal with and then when when you're living together, you know, when you're living together, that's a whole other step up where you really see the person. You know, leaving your plates on the floor next to the recliner for 3 days in a row.
Ooh,
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Well, Tyler knows way better than anything like that. His dad would me too. Well,
There's video games all day long.
he can't sit still. He has to be outside 24/7. He can't be inside. It's like, but we can't live together till I guess.
Like, you get distracted so much.
I would imagine you live together.
Yeah.
Val,
Oh,
do you do your own taxes? No,
No, I haven't for years.
because of your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't like. I'd rather pay someone else to do it.
Make sure they're doing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I know that I would mess something up,
Yeah.
and I would just not. It's not worth the struggle and the mental stress for me. Certain things you just.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine took
I
the
know.
all
Dan wants to. He's doing ours on his own, like for us this year for the first time.
So in the
It's
summer,
scary,
I
but
was
like
like,
we're
oh,
sick of
sorry,
paying.
I
Like
can't
it was like
go up.
$600 last year.
Really?
So then there's the range and cat and
It's a lot because he
cat,
He-
rain.
basically.
How many? They go by how many pages you have.
So do you have a whole bunch of pages? Like there's
So I think like his thing is he has like DraftKings stuff. He's always like winning a lot of money.
Yeah.
With, like DraftKings
Well, that's good.
crap.
whatever that
I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
the stupid fantasy
Oh,
football
fantasy
shit.
football. Yeah.
So like if you make more than 5,000, you have to claim that.
That's
So that's like one thing that like he wasn't sure how to do initially. And then also his job, they don't take like he has to do his own taxes. He has to put aside his own.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean, it's like when I first started my business for years, I would
I paid quarterly taxes. So I would have to just take the money and put it
Yes.
aside and pay
Okay.
quarterly. And then now I just don't. I don't know. I used to, but I just don't anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but for a while it worked for me, but it just,
Pain in the butt. Sucks. I always end up mowing too, so
yeah. Well, 2 years ago was the first year that I got for like job. And I was like, oh wow, to get money back in your taxes, that's weird. It was weird. Good,
Yeah.
but weird.
yeah.
So, and then I wasn't making as much money, so.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Okay. So let's go over this. Okay, and I want you to let's raise our hands here. Okay, instead of shouting out. So for the first one, based on the scoring, how would you summarize Michael's role functioning? So raise your hand. This is overall. Okay, looking at all categories as a whole. Yeah.
He's a student, a friend, a son, a brother.
Do you think, based on the scoring, there's any role dysfunction?
The question was?
The first question.
Yeah, the first question. Oh. How would I summarize it? I'm still summarizing, right?
Score.
Four?
So
I don't know.
if someone gets majority plus and 0 scores, there's no obvious role dysfunction.
Oh, right.
And then if someone gets mostly zeros or minuses, there
Right.
is
Sorry, yeah.
doubt. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
So based on Michael overall, there's
Overall, he had like positives and zeros.
yeah, so no obvious role dysfunctions. Yep. So let's see. I just realized I must have taken something out of here. Hold on. Yeah, all right. So yeah, there was something else I realized I must have taken it off the side, but that's okay. Yeah, so we'll go on. So deficiencies and impact on adult competence or occupational choice. So what deficiencies did you notice that would impact adult competence? Sid.
We played time management and feedback.
Yeah.
We had no clear like schedule. It just kind of
Okay.
whenever he fit stuff in.
Good.
And then in feedback, he mentioned that he doesn't take from his teachers,
Yes.
but he wants to improve his skills. So
Yeah,
something
exactly. So acceptance of constructive criticism is important in the working world, right? And then, yeah, definitely time management. Anything else with regards to school?
Studying.
Yep, yep. So poor study habits, right? He says, what did he say about his grades?
They were like 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Like, definitely smart, but really doesn't study. You could definitely have better grades.
Yeah, so it might definitely impact, like if he doesn't have consistent study habits and, he doesn't have some sort of routine, then it could definitely impact him when he's in college.
He says, I don't really make an effort.
Yep, yep. So it could impact his ability to graduate and, get into college, get a job as a police officer. All right. Now, based off of those deficiencies, what do we think a goal could be for him? And now we're going to try to make this a totally measurable goal, okay? So what's a good goal for him, do you think, in general?
Improve grades up to 90%.
Okay, perfect.
And what to do for it? You need to have your schedule.
Yeah, so let's write a goal together for this, okay? So if we are addressing Michael's grades, okay, the goal could be, again, you want to make sure it's measurable, okay? So Michael will achieve
90%.
scores of, you could do something, yeah, maybe a little more realistic in terms of,
Hard to go from 80.
well, is this a short-term or long-term goal too, right? It depends.
But if you study,
Yeah,
Yeah, so you could say like add 1 hour.
so that'll be an intervention, right? So a goal, though, so we'll say you can put whatever percentage you want. You could put, 85, you could put 87, you could put 90. So Michael will achieve scores of, yeah, 85 or above on all homework assignments throughout his senior year of high school. Okay, so that's objective. It gives us a time frame. So, what are some interventions or some strategies to help him achieve that goal of the 85 or 90? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
He recommended that he maybe like go to the library or like go to tutoring.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe see a tutor 3 times a week, right? For an hour to help create study habits.
Like senior year, like guidance.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I didn't do that. I was like a B student. I didn't really. I was kind of more like him. I studied once in a while, but it's
Yeah.
not like I was just a B student.
Yeah.
And I could have definitely been A's though.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I didn't think that anyone would want me because I was a B student. So I'm not going to apply for colleges when I'm in 11th grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drop anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. High school definitely did not prepare me to study or anything.
Right.
I think anyone should graduate from my high school. Like,
It's pretty bad how high school just push students along, and then
Yeah. That's
when they come to college, they have no idea how to really do anything.
it's so
Mm-hmm.
especially now that they're like some kids in my grade like didn't even have to take classes that we all had to graduate and like they just got a free pass. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain computer classes or college success skills. I didn't even have that.
Yeah.
I took that.
Also, maybe the tutor could also, if maybe he could come up with a plan with the tutor so that, he shares the feedback that he got from instructors with the tutor, right? And they can help them, learn how to apply, changes.
I have examples.
Yeah.
Actually, my son is not very good at school, but he's very smart. He
Mhm.
knows everything, but he is very lazy and he wants only screen time.
Yep.
That's all. He's not interested in homework. And they have OT at school, and they have sessions with him discussing something. And yesterday they called me.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk to each other often because I try something at home, they try something at school, decided that he will have 2 days at school, like he will stay after school with a person who will help him with homework.
Yeah,
Because at the point when he comes home,
he's
he
checked out.
wants only this.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Is it now? Is what he's watching Russian?
No.
Oh, it's English.
English.
Oh, okay. Because I was
And
gonna say
he
maybe
loves-
he felt like a connection to whatever he's
Yes,
watching,
of
but
course.
that's interesting though.
Of course, it's like a tool for communication with our other peers.
Uh-huh.
Of course, he has his VR, and he plays online games. He enjoys it, but still, he has to be careful.
Play it with friends.
Not with his friends.
I'm giving you all
from
blank
school,
copies just to have.
but still, he
Because
has
I don't
friends
want
there.
to play this to
They
anyone.
play together. And now I take this thing with me, and it is in my car. And when he comes home, he has to do his homework before he gets it. He needs to complete his homework, send me photos, and then I will come and do it.
You should do the ARA on him.
Yes, do this test on him. That's what you need to learn.
Or, well, I was gonna say he might not.
We talked about it.
He might have an attitude if you give it to him, right?
We talked about it. If you will ask my son about what he does at home,
Yeah.
help to me, he will say that he mops floors, he does laundry, he
But what if you're asking?
Is he lying?
What if you're asking him? Because he knows
just a moment, he does dishwasher, and he does like once a month.
So
I
you
asked him. We have chart with all his responsibilities, where I draw crosses
Right.
or check marks, and also I put there -$1, -$1, and yesterday he was thinking about it, and he decided, I lose too much money, and he decided to go to bed in time.
You should add -10 minutes of his video meeting.
He has it every day. -1 because he didn't keep to schedule of using this thing.
Oh,
And I allow him 1 hour. And then I tell him, it's time ended. 1 minute. And this 1 minute is endless.
extra 20 minutes.
30 minutes.
So is that when you can cut it off visually? You can cut it off on your phone, say boop, no internet.
I can
no,
do it with this thing.
You can't do it with that, man.
Unfortunately, with this thing, I can't do it. I can do with
Everything
all
else.
other things. I can put button and
Well, then if he doesn't
Not
give
do
it to
this.
you within a 5-minute time frame of that, just let me finish this game kind of thing.
then
Then you have
I
to,
call
like,
my my husband and ask him to block internet. All house.
Nice.
Yes. 12 years old.
This is what I'm gonna have to deal with.
You
in
know, at
9
what
years.
point does your kid get to a point where like they don't want to help out? Because I'm loving. I
No,
give my
Joe
kid like
wants to
BS
help.
things that I
Yeah.
really need help finding all these lowercase G's. I can't do it without you. So like he'll be like, and he acts like it's such a stressful. So he has like a dabber, and I always have one of those.
That's a good idea. Though.
Yeah, I always have paper on our table, and I write, and he'll just like go with the dabber. He'll be like, "Mom, I did it." You know, like this is such a chore. It's freaking funny, but it keeps him so busy. We're always doing OT things.
It works with my smaller children. It
Mhm.
works with them. And it worked with him
Mm-hmm.
until he
God.
turned 10 years
Of
old.
course, yeah. So I have some
So
time.
it's ended.
Works with mine. My phone, iPad, charger. I said, "Can you get it for me? It's down there." And he does the same thing.
Yeah.
He goes, "Okay, mommy." And he goes down and he gets it. I'm like, "Oh, good job." It's crazy. Like I babysit a lot. Every single like new parent now, like no screen. All the new ones.
Good.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's mostly TV.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of shift happening. COVID, you know, everyone. I've had kids to now like
Get
people
outside.
around our age who really had unlimited access to the internet. Who's like, yeah, what we were doing on the internet when we were young kids, or like in our teenage years, shouldn't be allowed and stuff like that. Like the whole
I'm going
kids
to email one to people that were absent today, so you don't need to save them for them. Well, actually, you will see them tomorrow anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, for Tegan and perfect.
Parking passes for them too.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, because when they watch TV, they watch movies, kids movies, or that's why you could do that movie. Yes, and also part of this movie, you see good pictures of girls speaking about kindness,
Better than my
compassion, and so on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, so we're going to talk about this. All right, so coming around is the parking pass that needs to be visible on your dashboard when you are parked in the lot. Okay, so looking at this site now with the instructions. So, as we all know, we're going this upcoming Monday, okay, from 9 to 11:30-ish. It won't go over 11:30. If anything, you'll be getting out early. Carpooling is recommended. Do not forget your parking pass and campus map, which, let's see here.
There is like an actual address.
There is.
Oh wait, on the back. Oh.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. So, I just realized I thought I printed the campus map. I did not. I will say that GPS address it takes you right there, but I will also email you the map. But okay, so don't forget your parking pass first and foremost, okay? Dress code is business casual. Keep in mind that observation may occur both indoors and outdoors. They do have like an outdoor playground. So you're going to be rotating from room to room in your assigned groups. And, more likely than not, if it's not pouring rain or a blizzard, they will be outside. So remember to bring your observation packet, which I will give you, a clipboard or something hard to write on, and a writing utensil, okay? And please be on time. Try to get there before 9, at least 10 minutes before, because you do need to sign a waiver, like a confidentiality waiver. And then we're going to be leaving that main area, so you will not be able to find us. Of course, someone could help guide you, but let's just try to be on time, please. We are all going to meet at their main office, okay? So here, there are directions right here, okay? You're going to Baldy Hall, okay? Suite 15. This basically explains, you'll see on the back of the sheet the exact address. So it's going to be Baldy Hall. You can park in the Jacobs lots, which you'll also see. You'll see parking lots for Jacobs A, B, and C. You can park in any of those, put the parking pass on your dashboard, and we'll be in the basement of Baldy Hall. So once you get into Baldy, you'll see stairs downward, and then you really can't miss ECRC once you're in the building. But Janice and I will be there, so we'll both stand on opposite ends of the building and make sure everyone's. There were no issues last year with anyone finding it. So basically how it's going to go is you're going to find us at the ECRC. You are going to, again, sign a waiver, just, who you are and that you'll maintain confidentiality. And then you'll be split into groups, okay? And you're going to rotate between 3 classrooms, okay? There's the toddler room, the preschool room, and the pre-K room, okay? Now, for all of these, you are going to be, there's like the reverse mirror. Okay, so you're going to be, for the most part, where the kids can't see you. However, if the class does go outside, you will go outside and just kind of hang out outside. Okay, you're just going to see how the classrooms run. You're going to take notes. So we'll go over the packet in a minute, but you're not going to document any specific names. You can use pseudonyms or teacher 1, teacher 2, child 1, child 2, whatever, for descriptors of your observation. Any questions with that? All right. You can bring beverages with you, but we're going to be keeping all of our stuff in like a separate room. So you probably won't be able to bring your drinks or anything into the class. Okay. So don't count on having coffee with you, unfortunately. All right. So I'm going to hand this out. So you are going to now get the instruction sheet and the blank sheet that you'll be filling out. All right. So here's the instructions, which basically shows you exactly what I'm looking for each question. Okay. Okay, so this assignment is going to be based on one student from one classroom that you observed, okay? So what I would say is look at each room and pick a kid in each room that you want to observe, and then choose the best one to do your assignment on, whatever one gives you the most, okay? Because if you go into your first 2 rooms and aren't really paying attention and thinking about the assignment, you might get to your 3rd room and have a no shit moment because you really can't document based on anything going on in there. So what you're going to do is on your sheet, which I gave you, this is also in Brightspace. I'm 99% sure I put it on already. If not, I will today. So you can either type it or you can handwrite it. So at the top, you are going to circle which observation room your observed student was in, okay? Whether or not you are documenting based on a student in the toddler room, the preschool room, or the pre-K room. So you're going to circle one of those, okay? Then for each of the 5 categories, you are going to note, using complete sentences, a minimum of 2 observations, okay? So it's going to be 2 points for each category, 5 categories, okay? So 10 points total, okay? The sentences need to include terminology from our lectures in class, okay? So the play lectures, the, gross motor PowerPoints, anything on fine motor, any of like the, you notice palm to finger translation, right? Anything like that, okay? So simply writing, student played with her classmates, not what I'm looking for, right? What I'm looking for is parallel play was noted, as student was observed, blah, 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 okay? So, and instead of writing, like, don't just write pincer grasp, but give an example of what you saw. What were they doing with that pincer grasp, right? Was it during snack time when they were eating Cheerios, something like that? Okay, so you are basically giving me a visual of what you saw that child do, okay? And yeah, you're going to use the lecture notes to guide you. So on the instructions, I did give examples to kind of jog your mind, okay? So for gross motor observations, what gross motor skills were demonstrated? What were they doing? Did you notice bilateral coordination happening? How so? What were they doing? What were they engaging in? Did they have proximal stability? Did they have instability? So just read through all of these. Does this make sense? So 2 complete sentences that are descriptive and that incorporate terminology from our lectures. Yeah.
So will this be due like right after
Nope.
we leave?
Nope. So this is not due until, what is the date in this syllabus?
Isn't it on the date? That was the activity.
So it will be due by Friday at 11:59 p.m. Okay? We don't have class Wednesday, so use that time to complete it. Shouldn't take long at all. Definitely email it. Yep. Or you can give it to me April 1st in here for 1:30. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever room that we're in. Yeah. It just depends on.
All right. So really, the point of this is for you to make sense of what you're seeing, right? And you to relate it back to the content in class. Okay.
Yeah. So like it would be like we go through all of your
Yes, everybody takes those. You got it. You want that as an example. Yep. So any questions about how Monday will run? Try to, like, in your minds, tell yourself that we start at 8:50, okay? Get there 10 minutes early, okay? Yeah, that's fine. They'll be open. The kids are kind of like just rolling in between like 7:30 and 8. Yeah. Mhm. It's a lot of yeah, so yes, they do. So it's in like the doctoral, like the doctor of education area. So they do a lot of research there. And but yeah, a lot of faculty have their kids go there.
We have to like sign something that is like
Yep.
like
Yeah, they know that their kids are researched. Yep. Mm-hmm. A lot of kids there speak, minimum 3 languages. Because there are a lot of Mandarin professors at UB. There's definitely a lot of different languages spoken. So yeah, very smart. So yeah, Keely is the director there. And she's super, she's got a lot of experience. She's been there for a while. She'll give you guys like the background on how everything works there. She'll answer any questions you have. Well, she'll kind of bounce around between each room to answer questions as you're observing. And then she will answer questions at the end. But just be mindful of HIPAA. Last year, there was like a really awkward question from a student. Let's not get too intrusive with the questions that we're asking the director. She was like,
what?
She was like,
Sounds like something I would do, so you gotta tell me.
she was like, she asked about, there were little twins, right, who were so adorable, and they were twins that spoke Mandarin, right? They spoke, and she said, these twins, their father works here, they speak 4 languages, and she said, like, the student said, it was like very insensitive. It was something like, what's our last name by chance? And the director was like, that's kind of, not really relevant. She's like, oh, well, my doctor's Asian and he works here, so I just wondered if it was his kids. And like, I mean, your doctor's not the only Asian person in Western. It's just very awkward, right? Like, not the most professional thing to say. So just let's think before we speak, okay? Not an appropriate question. So yeah, I was screaming inside. So let's have them want us back because it's a nice experience. But yeah, just because your doctor is Asian doesn't mean.
I'm glad I don't need a doctor. Because I probably would say something like that and get myself in trouble.
I don't think you would say
Okay. We'll see if these videos work today. All right, so driving and community mobility. Let's see if this will actually play.
And I work for a company called Adaptive Mobility Services. So as an occupational therapist, I look at what occupies people's time and how an injury or illness can impact that and make it difficult to do the things you want to do. So if you've had a stroke and it's difficult to get dressed, cook something for yourself, write your checks, I'm going to look at what I can do to make that easier, to get people stronger, better. More specifically, as a driving rehab specialist, I then look at how that stroke is impacting the function in the car. Does the client still have the skills they need for the fitness to drive? So is the stroke affecting the one side of the body? Is the MS impacting how someone can move their legs? Has peripheral neuropathy impacted the sensation in the foot? I'm looking at all these different things, as well as some things related to aging, such as, has memory changed? Has concentration changed? How's the focus in the car? So one of the things I don't do, a lot of people will think, oh, as a driving rehab specialist, are you going to take my keys away? And the answer is no. My goal, my focus is on safety and independence. I work with somebody to see what they can do within their skill set. So for some people, I'm doing an evaluation and I'm looking at, do they have the fitness on the road? Can they go back to driving? Do they need special equipment so they can go back to driving? Then there are some people that we're looking at, is it time to transition out of that role? But what can we do to make sure you're still doing everything you can and living your life to the fullest?
All right. So, okay. So as far as the OT role in screening and evaluation for driving and community mobility, as Susie said, I actually have met Susie. She's, that was a pretty recent video of her. So we look at the fitness to drive, right? Whether or not we meet the necessary mental or physical criteria or requirements to drive, right? The requirements for safe driving performance, okay? So what are some factors contributing to the operation of a motor vehicle? Yep, so cognition and perceptual skills. Anyone else? Anything? Vision, good. Reaction time, perfect.
Physical ability to.
Yeah, range of motion,
Yes.
strength, endurance, gross and fine motor coordination. Also, what about sitting balance, right? You need to be able to maintain some,
Seatbelts for.
Oh yeah, right. Sensory skills, right? So not only vision, but also hearing, your sense of touch, right? Proprioception, being able to tell when your foot is on the gas versus the brake, right? Can you imagine if we had to look down every time to see what pedal our foot was on, right? Okay, so as far as screening goes, there are a few screens that help determine whether a more in-depth, comprehensive driving evaluation is needed. The Fitness to Drive screening measure is available online. It's free of charge, and it only takes about 20 minutes to complete. If there's time at the end of class, we can definitely, you can all go through that. So that's just one of the many screening measures. Okay, so the screen tells us whether or not a more in-depth, comprehensive driving evaluation is warranted. Okay.
you know when it's time to hang up the car keys permanently? That is a question that sneaks up on people in the Great Tsunami, the rapidly growing population of baby boomers in the United States. Most people spend a portion of their lives behind the steering wheel of a car. But as we age, driving becomes less of a routine because of cognitive decline from the normal aging process. Now, a new screening tool developed at the University of Florida will help identify at-risk older drivers. The screening measure is a free web-based tool called Fitness to Drive. The tool is designed to give family members, caregivers, and healthcare workers insight to see if an older driver is at risk for hazardous driving or not.
This tool is really designed to help to identify those drivers that's potentially at risk and then to start conversations about the next logical steps of what to do so that we can keep drivers as fit to drive, we can keep them on the road as long as possible and as safe as possible.
Fitness to Drive is a questionnaire that takes about 20 minutes to complete. The screening measure uses the answers to 54 questions about someone's driving behaviors to create a risk profile that will classify a driver into one of 3 categories.
The 3 categories are accomplished driver, good to go. The second category is a routine driver. That means that the person can do general driving but potentially should avoid some of the more challenging situations. And then the third group is the at-risk driver. And for that group, that's where we will have to make further decisions.
Researchers say everyone ages differently, so there isn't a specific cutoff point to when someone should stop driving. At the University of Florida, I'm Chris Phillips.
All right, now another screen is the assessment of driving related skills, okay? You can find it on the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab website that we visited in OT 101. But it's an 8-item assessment. It covers visual, motor, and cognitive abilities, and impaired performance on any item may indicate the need for, again, a comprehensive driving evaluation. They use the Snell and I chart for it, a stopwatch to work on reaction time. I did actually just purchase it, so we will have it shortly. If anyone ends up wanting to look at it in person. So again, the screen would determine whether or not they need a comprehensive evaluation, right? So the comprehensive evaluation is comprehensive, right? It's in-depth, and it assesses driving performance skills and client factors related to driving, and it is comprised of 2 parts. There is the clinical evaluation and also the on-road evaluation. So the clinical evaluation typically looks at a client interview, so identifying strengths, problems, or potential problems. And then there's a battery of assessment tools, right? Just like the assessment we just talked about, that looks at the performance skills related to driving in terms of physical, right? So looking at their range of motion, their strength, their coordination, whether or not the driver can safely steer, brake, check their blind spots. Also assess vision, right? So peripheral vision is important, depth perception. What about contrast sensitivity? When would that be important while driving? Contrast sensitivity as far as like color goes, right?
Oh yeah.
Being able to determine,
Traffic lights and
yeah,
signs, stop
yeah,
signs.
right. So whether they can detect hazards, also, like a flashing light, right? Whether it's a yellow flashing light or a red flashing light, right? Big difference. So yeah, reading signs, detecting hazards, being able to judge distance while driving. Cognition. So their attention, their processing speed. Executive functioning. So what would an example of executive functioning be with regards to driving? Yeah, right. Yeah, making decisions. So planning your route ahead, right? Mm-hmm. So there are assessments in the OT world that assess visual perceptual skills, right? Also, there are cognitive screens, and they can help identify impairments that could, alter decision making, reaction time, hazard awareness, anything like that. The OT Dora I purchased. This again, we'll have this soon, but it's basically another off-road assessment battery. Okay. This can be administered by generalist OTs and also OTs that specialize in driver rehab. All right. So there's the clinical portion of the comprehensive driving evaluation, and then there's the on-road portion. Okay. So the on-road evaluation typically is in a dual controlled vehicle with a driving specialist. Okay. So similar to a type of vehicle like you probably had if any of you took driver's ed, right? So that will evaluate, they'll look at lane positioning, speed regulation, recognizing traffic signs, decision making, reaction to hazards, and the ability to follow navigation directions. There are 3 levels of driving behaviors. Okay, so the strategic level would be the decision making. Okay, and that really affects all levels of driving. Okay, so that's your where am I going? How am I going to get there? Right? So, I mean, it could be as simple as, am I going to walk there? Am I going to drive there? Am I going to take a bike there? This is also the ability to find an alternate route if there's an accident or a detour, right? Or if they don't know the route, knowing how to look it up, right? Know how to look up on your phone or, work your GPS or whatever you use on your phone to give you alternate directions. Okay, so that's strategic, right? Having like a strategy, okay? Tactical level would be the decisions or maneuvers made during driving, okay? So this is actually making the turn, using the turning signal, slowing down in bad weather, right? So that you don't hydroplane. Determining when you can safely pass a vehicle. Okay, so the decisions of when to use these different driving maneuvers, okay? And then operational is really just the operating, right? Just the physical components, the things that you do without much thought, right? I mean, even that really could be using a turning signal, but, again, hitting the gas versus hitting the brake, right? Knowing how to operate the vehicle. Okay, so outcomes based on the driver evaluation. The OT practitioner might recommend returning to driving. They might recommend, some sort of training or intervention, maybe even vehicle modifications. Now, driving cessation. Now, this is a sensitive one. It's emotionally difficult for people because driving is often tied to independence, right? It's very hard for older people that have been driving their whole lives to suddenly not be able to do that. So it's not necessarily OT's role to tell someone, you need to stop driving, but OT can certainly help convince people to explore alternate, safer options, right? And we'll get into that. So as far as interventions go, is with regards to returning to driving, driving uses the same underlying skills and processes as other activities, right? So, you can break down each component of driving and address each individual skill, right, through task analysis, and improve those individual skills. There's also interactive driving simulators that are computer controlled, and they're designed to represent driving in real time, and they provide objective measurements. I know that ECMC has a driving sim lab. They have not only the comprehensive driving evaluations, but they also have like an adaptive driving program. And it's provided specifically by OTs in driver rehab over at ECMC. So that's cool. But so adaptive equipment and vehicle modifications, have any of you seen any of these? Yeah, like maybe not even in person, but maybe on TV or, okay.
My one client has MS.
Okay.
So
yeah.
He's got like the brake
on
his steering wheel and stuff like that.
Nice.
My grandma had a car like that, but she just got too old.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of different things out there. Steering wheel adaptations, extensions for controls, left foot accelerator, which is interesting. Hand controls, panoramic mirrors, adapted seats, safety restraints. So vehicle options. So, of course, there are different, not only adaptations as far as driving, but adaptations as far as like getting someone's wheelchair into the vehicle. Okay, so back to the OT role. So a lot of times for OT, we teach the client and or caregivers how to safely get in and out of the vehicle, right? That's a big one, getting like when someone's discharging from a rehab facility to go home, right? They've been in rehab for 3 months, their spouse is coming to pick them up and they're nervous about getting in their SUV, right? So that is definitely something that OT and PT usually work together on with the client. OT can also assist in exploring alternative options, as far as different modes of transportation, identify private, medical, volunteer, or just in general, private transport services. Sometimes OTs even train in the use of public transportation, help establish new routines, and also training or education regarding navigating urban areas. That's got to be a tough one. I'm like so curious as to what OT looks like in like Manhattan, right? Like for home care therapists, very interesting. Much different than what we have here. Okay, so I did provide all of you with a copy of the OT checklist of community mobility skills. It's kind of nice. It helps you identify different transportation options depending on where the client is at functionally, whether or not they can do these items independently with assistance or with a lot of difficulty, or they're unable to do it, okay? So it can help practitioners identify different transportation options based on their, individual impairments, okay? So locally, what is available as far as transportation for people that maybe can't drive? What do you think? What do you guys know about out there?
Well, for me, rural area,
Mm-hmm.
In Batavia, we do have buses that transport people from all over the place, and just Batavia alone. We have we have a few companies that are drivers for hire. Basically, they show up in the car, and they bring you to and from doctor's appointments or to and from work.
Mm-hmm.
That's more accessible for people in rural communities, like where I live out with no one near me, so
Yeah.
like, that's a little bit better for those folks. There's not really much because we're such a small rural farming community. We don't really have much out there.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily everything is if you do live in Batavia, everything is very centered. So like doctors' offices, the building for like aging development, stuff like that. That's all very
Pretty
central.
close by. Yeah.
But coming from where I live to Batavia, that's still a 15-minute drive.
Yeah.
So have stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not really
Mm-hmm.
per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's more just depends on where you live.
Sure. Anyone else know of anything? Yeah.
At the adult daycare, I know a lot of the people that buy a service, like it's like a van, so like they're all in the van together.
Yep.
I think it's for like people who are physically or mentally disabled.
Paratransit? Does it say PAL on the side of the van?
I haven't actually seen the van.
Okay.
I've seen the PAL vans.
Yes.
So I'm sure
Yeah, so Paratransit Access Line is through NFTA, and that is something that any of you could get a patient signed up for. There's an application online. It's free to complete. I used to do a lot of those. I used to help patients with those applications quite a bit when I worked in home care. You usually do need to, with the application, kind of like a passport, you need to give them a photo of the person. So I would just take it with my work issued tablet and then like email them. But I had a good relationship with the NFTA paratransit people because I did so many applications. But it's really nice for elderly people that just, they don't have family support at all, or maybe their family just works, right? And they need to get to these appointments, and that will take them to their appointments and doesn't cost them anything.
So insurance
Mhm.
cover it.
It will. Mm-hmm. However, there are distance restrictions. I know there was like a fight recently, not a physical fight. I just mean drama as far as legislation to try to like make the distance a little bit further. Because right now it's like it can't be more than like 5 miles from their home or something like that. So
5 miles from my house is a cornfield.
right. Right.
Like literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
They come in like I don't know if you've seen them.
Oh yeah,
They come in like the van.
Do they? See, I don't know if that would be paratransit, but that would be, they do have different, have you guys heard of Canopy of Neighbors before?
Yeah.
Okay, so Canopy of Neighbors is like volunteer based, and that's usually, volunteers taking people to appointments, which is really nice.
We have like church.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they don't they just volunteer their gas and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Lord. A lot of,
That's right.
A lot of
Be
people
rewarded
in
for
our
it.
area, we have like community groups and stuff like that. We're always help a neighbor out when
Yeah.
you need it, and like people all like see all the time, like, hey, I need a ride to so and so. It doesn't matter all walks of ages. Like people are asking for rides. All right, yeah, I'll swing by your house, pick you up, bring you to the school, or whatever.
Yeah.
I saw one for a substitute teacher. I was in the shop for an oily, and she's like, "Hi, I'm a sub at Byron Virgin. I need to be at the elementary school." And someone's like, "Yeah, I'll swing by your house and pick you up," and stuff like that. It's a whole sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that really helps with
Yeah.
education.
Definitely. Yeah.
I did Canopy Neighbors.
You did? Yes. Oh, we talked about this. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is so funny. That is, yep, they're milking it. Yep. Well, they wanted us to keep sending students there, and we said no because it wasn't. I mean, first of all, there's no OT on site. It's not like, I mean, again, it's a great thing to volunteer for, right, in general, but like it did not fit in for us as a field work. It made no sense. So I cut the cord on that, and people were not happy. But I mean, again, like you're paying for your education. That, you know what I mean? Like you're not paying to like volunteer in something non-OT related. So
the only way it like goes to OT, I think, is like for caring for the whole person,
Sure.
maybe, and like
Sure.
talking to them about
Sure.
who they are.
Yeah.
But beyond that,
Yeah.
you're not doing any kind of interventions with
No,
them. It's
no. And
it's
that's not something you can even do. Like you're like, there's no one overseeing you,
Right.
right? You're just like taking these
Hanging out
people,
with
like that's a
someone.
huge liability. I'm like, how are we even doing
Yeah.
that? Like that's yeah, right. So I totally forgot. You and I had this discussion. I forgot. Yeah, that is yeah, really weird. Okay. So here's just another quick video.
Somebody I recently saw. He called me last spring, and when he called me, we met on the phone, and he said to me, "I've been looking for you. I've been looking for you for 3 years." So he had a stroke, and it impacted his right side, and he worked really hard on recovery. He had occupational, physical therapy, speech therapy for over a year's time, and he was discharged home. At a wheelchair level, he was able to transfer and do things for himself. He went back to doing the taxes. He went back to cooking, but he never got back to driving. And what was interesting about this case is nobody even talked to him about driving, right? They talked about all the other areas of his life. They didn't talk about driving. So this gentleman started thinking about what technology can do. And he did a little research and found that there was equipment to help compensate for him not being able to use his right side of his body. And in looking at that equipment, he met an equipment vendor who said, well, you really need to talk to Susie. You need to talk to an OT and a driving rehab specialist first to find out if this is right for you, if this equipment's right for you. So he called me up, and we went through the process, the evaluation, and we did training for adaptive equipment. His solution is pretty easy. It's a piece of equipment that can go into the car, and with the several training sessions, he was passing his driver's test, including the parallel parking, and he was back on the road. And he's one of these guys that he told me, I'm so glad I found you. I love my wife. She's been incredible to me. We've moved to a new house. I just need to get out. I need to go on my own. So after he gets his equipment, I asked him, I said, where did you go? Where's the first place you went? He told me that he went to buy his wife a birthday present. And that's everything, right? Just to be able to do that on your own at the drop of the hat, that's everything. And he hadn't done that for 3 years.
All right. So you're going to do, how was the wheelchair stuff the other day? I haven't talked to Michelle.
They really need to fix that out there.
By a professional, which includes an OT. So you could definitely help fill this out. An OTA would totally be able to fill this out as well. But it asks some general questions about their mobility, closest bus stop to where they live, what devices they use to get to where they need to go. And then part 2. Basically check boxes, right? You check off OT, how long you've known them, medical diagnoses that you believe prevent them from, basically using a regular bus, okay? Because this would be for the paratransit line, right? Which is the smaller bus. Whether or not their disability is permanent, whether or not it's likely to worsen, And then yeah, just fill out these, and then and I believe it wants you to attach a photo. But yeah, so just know that this is available online.
So like people would use that, say maybe if they were more prone to getting, like if they couldn't defend themselves kind of thing, like if they were cognitively, not all there or something, and they would use this kind of thing too. Like, as far as, like that would be a good reason.
Yeah.
They would be. Someone could mug them easily because they're not quite.
So and if they're someone with a caregiver, they can also come with them. So you'll see on here who may ride with you, right? Personal care attendant. So people who need assistance during the ride. It can be a family member, friend, or a paid caregiver. But yeah, so there's information on here. So service animals are fine. And then, yeah, they get a card. So yeah, keep that in mind. Now, I want to go over, you're going to do like a task analysis breakdown with Michelle, but we're going to go over this. So, let's see. All right, so this assignment is going to be due April 22nd, okay? We have class that day, so you can just bring it in then. And this is all on Brightspace. Okay. Yes. Giving you the rubric as well, so you know exactly how you'll be graded. All right, so for this assignment, similar to what you did in lab, the purpose is for you to be able to recognize or identify any factors that may influence mobility or the day-to-day for people who use wheelchairs, okay? So you're going to analyze accessibility features within a real environment and reflect on how these features impact occupational performance, okay? So part one is going to be basically your observation and what you're identifying, and part two is going to be your reflection, okay? So for part one, you're gonna go to a public or community setting, okay? It could be a grocery store, restaurant, school building, anything in the public really, anything that should be ADA compliant. And you're gonna imagine navigating it in a wheelchair. And you're going to observe the space and evaluate the following areas, okay? Building entrance, doorways and hallways, elevators, if applicable, bathrooms, tables, counters, or service areas, and parking or exterior areas, okay? You are going to identify at least 3 accessibility features that support wheelchair users, okay? And at least 3 barriers that could limit mobility or independence, okay? And you'll see the asterisk For each feature or barrier, you're going to explain how it impacts occupational participation, okay? So how it impacts their ability to shop, to dine, to work, to engage with others socially, okay? So, yeah, so you're going to have an explanation for each accessibility feature and each barrier, okay? And then part 2 is basically just a short reflection addressing the questions below, okay? What aspects were most accessible for wheelchair users? What environmental barriers would make participation in daily activities difficult? How might these barriers affect an individual's independence or quality of life? And how an OT can address it. So your submission needs to include, again, 1 to 3 pages. Okay, you don't have to get crazy with this. Double spaced, 12-point font. Make sure you give a description of the environment. You list your features and barriers and give descriptions of each, and then respond to the reflection questions, okay? You know, formatting, as far as whether or not you use bullet points or paragraph format, I really don't care, as long as all the points are there and it's easy for me to, you know, it's in an order that makes sense, okay? Any questions about that? Yeah, you can, absolutely. Yep, so you're going to be graded based on the rubric. Yeah, if you meet all that criteria, it should be a pretty easy A, okay? Yeah, just pick a place that, you know, where you'll be able to easily answer those questions. So yeah, this will be due Wednesday, April 22nd. Any questions?